Hear the 61st mystery. I am he who exists from the Undivided. Therefore I say, if he is unified, he will be filled with light. But if he is divided, he will be filled with darkness. Behold the deep mechanics of psychological unity versus internal division. If your human spirit is fragmented, self-contradictory, and fighting against its own moral conscience, you will sink into emotional darkness and existential anxiety. Your actions will war against your morals, leaving you in misery. But if you unify your heart, your intellect, and your behavior, aligning your thoughts and actions in one single good direction, your entire being will be flooded with spiritual light, absolute clarity, and perfect peace. Hear the 62nd mystery. I disclose my mysteries to those who are worthy of my mysteries. Do not let your left hand know what your right hand is doing. Understand that high spiritual wisdom cannot be tossed around casually. It belongs exclusively to individuals who are humble and ready to practice it in their daily choices. Furthermore, when you perform an act of charity or goodness, keep it private. Do not allow your left hand to track your right hand's actions. Do not let your ego keep score. Stop looking for a public pat on the back or bragging about your deeds. Purify your motives and act in silence. Hear the 63rd mystery. There was a rich man who had much money. He said, I will use my money that I may sow and reap and plant and fill my storehouses with fruit, so that I may lack nothing. This was what he was thinking in his heart. But that very night, he died. Shatter the toxic illusion of material security. The wealthy investor dedicates 100% of his time, his cognitive stress, and his life energy to planning his financial future and hoarding resources. He falsely believes a large bank account makes him safe from reality, while entirely ignoring his inner development. But physical life is incredibly fragile. His sudden death exposes the hollow vanity of material items, leaving his soul completely bankrupt, preparing for a tomorrow he will never get to see. Hear the 64th mystery. The servant returned, saying, Those whom you have invited to the dinner have excused themselves. The master said, Go out to the roads. Bring those whom you will find that they may dine. Businessmen and merchants, will not enter the places of my Father. Recognize that the grand dinner party represents a profound spiritual awakening. The wealthy refuse the invitation because they are completely consumed by their physical assets, managing trades, collecting rents, and organizing social status. They prioritize worldly profit over their own souls, leaving no room in their packed schedules for higher consciousness. Do not let your business blind you to the feast. The unburdened and humble will claim the kingdom, while the preoccupied starve in their wealth.
Hear the 65th mystery. Since those tenants knew that he was the heir to the vineyard, they seized him and killed him. Whoever has ears to hear, let him hear. Expose the deep arrogance and violent greed of human existence. Understand that this planet is the vineyard, and the divine creator is its rightful owner. Human beings are not masters here. We are merely temporary caretakers leasing space on this earth. Yet, out of blind ego and possessiveness, humanity treats the world like our private property. We violently attack the truth-tellers, ignore the spiritual laws, and silence our conscience, all to protect a fleeting, temporary illusion of control. Hear the 66th mystery. Show me the stone which the builders have rejected. That one is the cornerstone. Mark the ignorance of the world's architects. The builders are the mainstream rulers, the religious scholars, and the elite experts who design human culture. They consistently overlook, ignore, and mistreat the humble, the honest, and the quiet, simply because they do not look flashy or powerful. But do not be deceived by their metrics. Those exact, overlooked, high-integrity individuals are the structural bedrock. They are the rock-solid foundation upon which all real truth and authentic goodness are anchored. Hear the 67th mystery. If one who knows the all still feels a personal deficiency, he is completely deficient. Shatter the fraud of superficial spiritual pride. If you boast about your high theological knowledge, claim to understand the universe, and act like a master, yet you remain internally miserable, jealous, and desperately wishing for more money, titles, or luxury. Your knowledge is completely hollow. True spiritual understanding fills a soul with absolute contentment. If you are still driven by a desperate hunger for worldly approval and material greed,
your inner life is entirely empty. Hear the 68th mystery. Blessed are you when you are hated and persecuted, and no place will be found where you have been persecuted. Receive this absolute shield against the hostility of the crowd. When you choose to stand up for absolute truth, practice radical honesty, and refuse to participate in corruption, toxic and cruel actors will naturally hate you. Do not let their venom discourage you. Being targeted by corrupt systems is direct external proof that your moral compass is functioning perfectly. Stand firm. The negativity cannot touch your inner peace, for your soul rests in a place they can never reach.
Hear the 69th mystery. Blessed are they who have been persecuted within themselves. They are the ones who have truly come to know the Father. Blessed are the hungry, for the belly of him who desires will be filled. Realize that the most profound spiritual warfare is never fought against outside enemies. It is the brutal internal battle to conquer your own ego, master your bad habits, and crush your destructive pride. If you possess a desperate, deep hunger to align with absolute truth and refine your character, take heart. That intense spiritual focus will never be ignored. The universe will always reward your burning inner desire with absolute peace. Hear the 70th mystery. If you bring forth what is within you, what you have will save you. If you do not have that within you, what you do not have within you will kill you. Understand the terrifying law of your own latency. Every human soul contains an authentic, unique pool of divine consciousness and creative potential. If you are brave enough to do the internal work, live honestly, and let that inner light out, it becomes your ultimate salvation and source of unshakable strength. But if you suppress your conscience, bury your spark, and live a fake existence to please others, that unexpressed truth will fester. Hiding who you are will turn inward and slowly destroy your spirit. Hear the 71st mystery. shall destroy this house, and no one will be able to build it again. Witness the definitive demolition of systemic deception. The house is a metaphor for the massive networks of corrupt religious institutions, fake social systems, and hypocritical political machines built entirely on manipulation, fear, and greed. When the explosive power of personal spiritual truth is unleashed in the human heart, it permanently wrecks these fraudulent structures from the inside out. Open your eyes to the light. Once you see through the illusion, you can never go back to being tricked by empty external rituals. Hear the 70-second mystery. O man, who made me a divider? I am not a divider, am I? Shatter the expectation that truth will validate your petty worldly attachments. Turn away from those who try to weaponize spiritual teachers to settle material inheritances, divide physical assets, or win arguments over money. Refuse to get involved in the squabbles born of greed. Higher consciousness has absolutely nothing to do with balancing bank accounts or dividing up real estate. The mission is not to divide physical property, but to unite human souls in the eternal light.